What's up, guys? Well, with the release of Season 4 of Cobra Kai, we now have 4 seasons to rank. I did this ranking last year after Season 3 premiered, and it's time to update. I've now rewatched the entire series leading up to Season 4, and I've watched Season 4 twice, preparing for the spoiler stream that I did with Sean Chandler yesterday, which check that out if you have not, as well as today's ranking and tomorrow's ranking of all of the characters. It should be said that there is not a single season of this show that I dislike. I don't even think they have a mediocre season. Even my number 4 is an overall good season that I just have some issues with. So as a Cobra Kai fan, I've been very happy all the way from the beginning to where we are now in the show, and I hope that that consistent quality stays through all the way to however many seasons we get before the show decides to wrap. So starting off at number 4, my least favorite season of the show thus far is still Season 3. Now, I will say, I was a lot more critical of this season last year after watching it for the first time, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit more on rewatch this year leading up to the release of Season 4. So I've kind of softened a bit on some of my criticisms with Season 3, especially after seeing where some of the story directions and some of the character motivations that seemed a little jarring in Season 3 have come to a nice little crescendo in Season 4, so retroactively it kind of makes the season a little bit better for me. Where this season succeeds is that I think that there's a lot of great moments with not only the characters, but just character relationships, especially Johnny and Daniel. They're at some of their best stuff here. I think that the change up of the dynamic of some of the characters is pretty interesting, one of which being kind of the journey, the conflict that Hawk goes on throughout the season. I think they could have done it a little bit better still, but it did work better on rewatch for me, seeing him kind of start to regret what he's turned into, especially when you see people like Kyler coming in. These people that tormented him and turned him into the person that he is, now suddenly he's supposed to be called friends and comrades within Cobra Kai, and he's just not quite jiving with that. I also liked some of the elements regarding the continuing conflict between Miyagi-Do and what becomes Ingolfang Karate against John Kreese and Cobra Kai. John Kreese is this is like his season to rise, where he's doing all these little manipulations throughout politics, throughout the All Valley tournament, throughout actually using his kids as kind of like weapons and felons to go and do his bidding. I think that the tension with that situation rises up pretty nicely. Where this season falters for me is, for one, the Vietnam stuff. I don't think that it really adds anything to John Kreese's character or Terry Silver's character, and it really shows the budget restrictions of the show to where every time we went back to Vietnam, it just kind of felt like a totally different show, and I didn't really vibe with any of that stuff either time that I watched the show. And all the answers given why Kreese is evil, where Cobra Kai probably got its name from, not very satisfying answers. I would have been just much more happier figuring out on my own, or coming up with my own version of why Kreese is the way that he is. Sometimes when they give you definitive answers, they're kind of disappointing. This is one of those times. I hated Robbie's character arc in this season. I think it makes him a totally unlikable character, to the point where when Season 3 ended, I was like, I'm done with this guy. I don't care at all where his character goes from here on out. He's unforgivable. Same with Tori. Tori's been kind of like this psychopath since they introduced her. Season 3 tries to give her a little bit of an arc, tries to give her a little bit of sympathy, some kind of a human tether to where you can kind of get into her character a little bit more. I think they fail miserably with that. So Season 3, still a really enjoyable season that I've actually grown a little more soft on, but still has the most glaring issues of any of these 4 seasons for me. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Season 2. Now, while this season really cranks up the melodrama, and that certainly is not my favorite aspect of this show, I think that they also crank up a lot of the over-the-top goofy nature of the show as well, so it kind of balances out in a weird way, to where a lot more of that melodrama feels like it also rises up all these crazy situations and all these ridiculous rivalries, all the way up to this gigantic epic fight at the high school that's just so over the top that you can't help but love it. But I do like the continuing rivalry between Daniel and Johnny, the fact that Miyagi-Do is in full force. Now you got Samantha brought into the mix, training with her father. You got Robbie right there along with her. They kind of become partners in Miyagi-Do while also kind of becoming a bit of a love interest, which creates this little bit of a love triangle thing going on with those two and Miguel. You also have things in Cobra Kai with the introduction of John Kreese and him starting to become this second sensei, to where Johnny's trying to pull back on some of the no mercy shit and trying to ground his kids a little bit more and try to let them not make the same mistakes that he did. All the while, John Kreese is kind of like that devil whispering in their ear, especially with Hawk, like, go vandalize the dojo, go steal that medal. And so it brings a lot of nice tension within just the Cobra Kai dojo itself as well. So I really do enjoy season 2. On rewatch, it's always a season that I enjoy going back to with the introductions of things like the character of Stingray or Tori, or all the way leading up to this gigantic, epic season finale fight at the high school. It's a fun season for me, despite some of its melodrama and some of the forced storylines that it goes for. Now, I struggled a good bit with this top 2, I'll be honest. I had a definitive answer in my head after I watched season 4 for the first time and was amazed at how good it was. But after watching season 4 one more time, and over the past 2 days kind of also in the background watching season 1 again, I'm gonna put season 1 at number 2 for right now. Now maybe it's just excitement, maybe it's just that kind of that glossiness that something new has, like season 4 just being released. But as of right now, this moment in time, I do think it is my favorite season. So talking about my number 2, season 1, which I thought was going to be damn near impossible to top for me. Season 1 has all of that greatness of being something new and something fresh, and especially for me, somebody that totally doubted this show and doubted this concept and thought it was a terrible idea and thought that it was going to be like almost an embarrassment or a stain on the Karate Kid legacy, and was amazed at how much I really enjoyed the show. And what season 1 created that the rest of the show has carried through almost perfectly is that it really created this great way of this broad appeal, to where it appeals to the nostalgia, the legacy fans, the ones that have been there since the beginning or grew up with the Karate Kid films like myself, as well as a lot of new fans or a lot of younger generations that might have just got introduced to the movies or maybe haven't even seen the movies yet. And so you get this teenage, preteen melodrama stuff, but you also get all of this drama and all of these character arcs that are carried over from the movies, and the show just balances those perfectly, especially in season 1, where you have Johnny introduced as this down on his luck loser who's kind of a bit of a scumbag to a certain degree, and he still kind of lives based off of his rivalry with Daniel and that defeat in the first Karate Kid movie. And it's about him kind of pulling himself up by his bootstraps and getting back in the game and restarting Cobra Kai in his own way. And then Daniel finding out about this, and Daniel getting back into Miyagi-Do and trying to battle Cobra Kai so that it doesn't come back and do anything to any new generation of kids that happened to him back in the 80s. And all the while you have these kids caught in the middle of it, like Miguel, like Robbie, and to a certain degree even Samantha. And season 1 just did a great job at taking this initial concept of following up that rivalry from the first film, and even in a certain degree kind of attacking this rumor or this bit of a fan theory that was going on online about maybe Daniel being the true bully in Karate Kid, and kind of reframing a lot of the events of the original films without retconning anything and without detracting from any of the greatness of those movies, to where you look at Cobra Kai and you kind of look back and you're like, yeah, you know what? Like, when I watched it the first time, Johnny was clearly the villain, Daniel was clearly the good guy, but I can see the difference of perspectives now, to where, you know, Daniel might have seemed like this bit of an overzealous shithead that just kind of moved into town to Johnny, and Johnny was just trying to get his girl back, and it just brings a lot of new layers to what was already beloved before. And the individual storylines going on here, especially with Miguel being this kid who was kind of the Daniel LaRusso of the show, where he was brought into Reseda, he's a very well-mannered kid, he's got good intentions, he gets sucked in with Johnny because he's being bullied in school, gains his confidence, gains his ability to defend himself, and then kind of goes down this dark path. And so season 1 as an individual story, I just think is a great kind of a reframing as well as a reflection of the first Karate Kid movie, and it just sets up the events of this show almost perfectly. And it's not even a negative. The only reason that I think, aside from just how much I love the story and the character arcs in season 4, that I'm starting to get to the point where I prefer season 4 over season 1, is because season 1 doesn't really have a lot of my favorite elements of the show just yet. There's a lot of characters and a lot of people brought back, like legacy characters like Terry Silver, even John Kreese, that aren't in season 1. Season 1 is very Daniel and Johnny centric, and that's great. But the show expands itself and just brings in so many more characters that it continues to balance very well, and just it continues to grow to a point where season 1 feels very small scale and focused compared to where we are now in the show. And where I am now in the show, I kind of like everybody being there. So as of right now, my number one is season 4, and I just love this season. I loved it even more on rewatch. I still think that there's a couple of small issues that I have. I hate the whole training sequence where he's trying to get the kids, Johnny is trying to get the kids to jump over that gap in the buildings. I think that's a little too over the top for me. And I think that there's moments, one with Hawk being a bit of a douchebag just because they need him to be that way in a scene that doesn't quite make sense for his character, and Robbie resisting Cobra Kai after he was full-on Cobra Kai for damn near the entire season 3. There's a couple of moments in this season that just feels like they don't really know how to write the character in the way that they need him to be, so they just force him to be that way for the scene and then just kind of, okay, don't ask any questions. Now he's going back to their regular character arcs. Beyond that, though, I thought season 4 was fantastic. I thought it took everything that season 3 did, both good and bad, and made it better. The introduction of Terry Silver I thought was awesome. He's my favorite Karate Kid villain from the movies. I know I'm in a minority. I love Karate Kid 3. And so I thought him coming back, they subverted my expectations in a lot of great ways, but they also delivered the Terry Silver that I know and love in a lot of great ways. And so I'm so excited for the future of what that character might bring. Thomas Ian Griffith didn't miss a single beat coming back into the shoes of that character. He's awesome. I think that Johnny and Daniel, their relationship is at its best in this season, to where it kind of gives you that continuing rivalry, that butting of heads, that very stubborn rivalry that they have, to where they both think that they're right and the other person's wrong. But it does it in a way that makes a lot more narrative sense than some of the previous seasons, to where some other seasons get a little bit frustrating, where miscommunications or misunderstandings create all this turmoil, where this season, everything that causes that turmoil makes perfect sense. And it actually kind of enhances that turmoil in a narrative way that I really enjoyed. But even when they're not fighting, when they're together, when Daniel is learning Eagle Fang karate with that very 80s music video style training sequence, whenever Daniel is trying to give Miyagi-Do lessons of defense to Johnny, which he eventually tries to use against Terry Silver and fails miserably at. Even all of the kids, all of their story arcs I thought was much stronger this season, to the point where I actually like and am invested in both Robbie and Tori now, when both of those characters I could have given a fuck about by the end of season 3, especially Robbie. So that was amazing to see them kind of come back into the fold in a way that I really care about. Samantha, this is by far the most interesting that she's ever been in a season, where she's very much kind of the catalyst for the theme of this season, which is cutting your own path, doing your own karate. The right answer for you is not always the right answer for everybody else. Thought that was great. Miguel, his storyline and his kind of father-son relationship with Johnny, I thought was awesome. Even Hawk, which I was frustrated with the very quick microwaved version of his story arc in season 3, where he just needed to turn good again because they needed him to, and didn't even really feel like they fully developed it in a way that could have been satisfying. Season 4, I like his arc, his whole struggle with coming back to the good side while still kind of feeling like he's being ostracized because he was such a dick for 3 seasons. Him losing his mohawk, feeling like he's lost himself, and then regaining himself at the All Valley. I just loved it. I loved everything that this season did. I love everything that it did to carry off of the first 3 seasons, and I loved every single thing that it set up for future seasons, to the point where I was pretty much dug my foot in the sand before season 4 and said, this is going to look ridiculous if they continue on past this. This should be the season finale. This should be the series finale, excuse me. Don't extend this show past its expiration date. And at the end of this season, I went, nope, give me more. I don't want it to end here. Give me more. Loved season 4. Absolutely, as of this moment in time, my favorite season of Cobra Kai, number 1. So what do you guys think of Cobra Kai? What are the ranking of the seasons down below as far as your opinions go? Do you dislike any of these seasons, or are you like me and you're just kind of ranking them from least awesome to most awesome? Let me know down below what you guys think, and are you excited for season 5, or do you feel like season 4 should have been the end? Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you are a Cobra Kai fan, please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow we've got the Cobra Kai characters being ranked, and of course, whenever season 5 comes out, we'll do all of this again this time next year. So if you enjoyed this video, I have other Cobra Kai videos, I have rankings, and I have reviews of all 4 seasons. And we also did a spoiler chat yesterday, a live stream with Sean Chandler, where we dove into all the nitty-gritty details of season 4. We talked for about 2 hours, so please check that out as well. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.